Michael, you and I have had this conversation many a time. Privately, offline, on camera, I believe. We just talked about black people greetings. Black people greetings.
Okay.
More specifically, old black men greetings. I'm talking about I can't call it. Oh, another day, another dollar. And my favorite, this is universal, I can't complain. Okay? I can't complain. Right. Okay? The most complaining people will say, I can't complain. Okay? So, but there's just those different things that people say that we just get it. You know what I'm saying? Another day above ground,
That's right.
Different,
That's right.
Things that we understand as a people.
Too blessed to be stressed.
Blessed and highly favored. The list goes on.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Right.
I want to focus in on I can't complain. Because complaining takes a lot of energy. Okay, and as I get older, as I go through some things, I'm starting to learn that. Like, complaining just takes a lot of energy. I'm talking about the NBA All-Star Game, and All-Star Weekend in general, but the NBA All-Star Game. What I'm not going to do in my 45th year on this here planet, and my 20-something year of doing this, whatever you call this, is I'm not going to complain about the NBA All-Star Game. I woke up this morning and I made up in my mind. I woke up on the right side of the bed. I woke up in my right mind, and I decided.
You got to keep going.
Right.
You got to keep going what they did.
I'm trying to get in. Listen, I woke up and I decided that I was not going to complain and lament the current state of NBA All-Star Weekend. Even after a team cracked 200 points last night. I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, man, the good old days. Oh, when they used to take it seriously. Oh, when they used to play defense. They mess around for 3 quarters, but in the 4th quarter, they get serious. Whatever happened to the East-West rivalries? Whatever happened to people understanding that the game, that it grew the game and it had to be taken? You know why I'm not complaining? Because that ain't going to change. Because ain't nothing going to change. This is me accepting the things that I cannot change, or we cannot change, and the courage to know the difference. Okay, I understand, because I feel like a broken record. Forget the records that were broken last night. It's a broken record at this point where every year, without fail, the day after the All-Star game, we're talking about everything that's wrong with the All-Star game and how the game is dead and how we have to fix the All-Star game. Or we have to go back to, as we did last night, East versus West because the solutions weren't working. For me, man, at this point, I choose to consume the All-Star festivities, in particular the All-Star game, for what they are, not for what I wish they were or for what they should be, I tell it like it is, and I tell it how it could be. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer that we all just enjoy the game for what it is and enjoy the shooting displays. I mean, Damian Lillard's shots last night were incredible. Tyrese Haliburton doing his thing on his home court was incredible. I don't know how the hell Karl Anthony Towns, sorry.
Cat Williams.
I don't know how Karl Anthony Towns got. We need to get 50 points. Like that was the sneakiest 50 points I've ever seen in a basketball game. There was some fun moments. Luka Doncic's failed dunk, for example. There was Steph Curry had moments. It was fun for what it is. If we're constantly complaining about the way things used to be, could be, would be, should be, or what they're not, then we're never going to enjoy things. That's general. I don't know who needs to hear this. That's in general. You're never going to enjoy things or appreciate things for what or who, as the case may be, what or who they are. And so when it comes to the All-Star Weekend, it is what it is. And I'm okay with that at this point because I'm tired. I'm tired at my old age of complaining about something that's not going to change. They're not going to start playing defense. They're just not. They're not going to take it seriously. They're not going to be competitive. We have a hard enough time. The modern NBA has a hard enough time getting players to play in regular season games, to participate in enough regular season games.
That's right.
Why do you think they're going to take the All-Star game seriously, no matter how much we complain about it? Let it go. Let it go and just walk away. Don't walk away.
That's funny. That's funny. You talk about you're not gonna complain You know that old song, since you're raised in the church. Have you ever seen that song in the church? All of my good days outweigh my bad days. I won't complain. Everybody goes, oh! Oh! I won't complain. Oh. Reverend Paul Jones.
No.
Paul Jones.
Listen. The catching of the Holy Ghost was my favorite part of what you just did. Because I had a flashback. I had a flashback to my young men's usher board days.
Oh yeah, there it is. Tell them about it. Like, this is like, you can't get this anywhere else. Tell them about the usher board. They don't know about the usher board. They don't know about it.
I was the president of the young men's young men's usher board at my grandfather's church all throughout my teenage years. Yeah, man. And so it was our responsibility to carry the women who fell out with the Holy Ghost
at the altar
to that song and others. No, not even at the altar, in the pews. Man, you know how many people I had to pick up from between the pews? Like, I might as well have been a construction worker. They're like, yeah, man. And then you got to carry them out without their dresses getting, exposing too much. Carry them into the fellowship hall,
Hey,
people just hang out in the fellowship hall. Because long after the Holy Ghost had left, they just be in the fellowship hall just chirping. You ever notice that? They just be there just chirping. Just like, wait a minute, y'all get back in church. Y'all over here making all this noise. Get back in church. I'm sorry. Flashback.
See, that's different. I like the flashback because they fell out in the pews at your church. That's
man.
See, like
pews.
at our church, they call you up. They call you up, the bishop. Now, who made you bishop? I don't know, but he called himself bishop, and we called him bishop too. Anyway, bishop would put some oil on you. He anoint your hair with oil, and he had these huge hands, and sometimes he'd push you out. He just push you down. He'd pray over you.
It wasn't up to you. It wasn't up to you. All right, you gonna fall one way or the other.
And some people do the same thing every week. Every week, I'm like, oh, he about to get happy. I know he did this last week. Oh, he's about to shake.
Right.
There it is. So anyway, I love that. I love the flashback. We could have a whole show on that. But I'll tell you, yeah, I like what you said about the All-Star game. You said what it is. I guess the question is, what is it? We got to define what the All-Star game is. And so other sports,
a three-point shooting.
A mixtape.
It's the three-point shooting contest. That's not the contest. And low-key, it's the dunk contest, but not in the dunk contest. All they do is shoot threes and throw alleys to themselves off the backboard. That's it. That's what it is.
And just say, hey, how many numbers can we kind of push? What kind of how many shots can we take that are outrageous? Let's see what we can do in this game. You know what it is?
Half court now.
NBA All-Star game. You want to tell you what the NBA All-Star game is? Not only is it the mixtape that you've seen, it's a test kitchen. The NBA All-Star Game is a test kitchen for players to go out there to see what they can do for themselves, to see what they can do with other players. That's what we're talking about. And other sports are not having these conversations because, speaking of the Holy Ghost, they gave up the ghost a long time ago. So Major League Baseball, once upon a time, tried to attach the All-Star game to home field advantage in the World Series. That wasn't smart. Even in real time, it wasn't smart. And then people figured out that's not a good way to go. NHL All-Star game looks nothing like an NHL game. And can we talk about the Pro Bowl? I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's flag football, essentially. People are just messing around. It's 7-on-7, man. Like, why do we think, NBA fans, why do we think that we're going to get a real game? Because for you old school folks, and I was there, I watched it, it wasn't even like that back in the day. It wasn't like that back in the day.
We remember the fourth quarters and we romanticized some of those fourth quarters, some of those iconic fourth quarters. And that was how it was year after year. You're absolutely right. It was never super, super competitive. It was more competitive than it is now, make no mistake about it. Okay?
Right.
But there was a lot more emotion. So much has changed. So much has evolved, man. It's like, and I don't want to be in this. I'm an old man yelling at clouds enough to not be in this case. It's like talking about today's generation of kids. Like, they got stuff that we never had growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, they're not going to function the same way we did.
You got it. That's exactly the point. Look, all right, I'm old enough to remember. This is where the age difference gives me an advantage. I'm old enough to remember an all-star game in the Richfield Coliseum. For those who don't know, Richfield, that's outside of Cleveland. All right. So the Cavaliers were not good. This is long before LeBron James. An all-star game, Richfield Coliseum in the 80s. Maybe 81, 82, I can't remember. Somewhere in the 80s. And, the score was high. They were like, oh, I can't believe how high the score is. It's like 120 something. It's like 123 to 120, something like that. All right. But in those days, think about it, in the early 80s, you didn't have the NBA on TNT. You didn't have DirecTV. You didn't have, the game, ESPN, ABC, and all these opportunities, and NBA TV. You couldn't see all these players. So some players, Michael, came into the All-Star game, especially if you didn't play in LA or Boston or Philly. Moment. Some players came to All-Star games like, I'm about to prove myself. A lot of people don't know what I can do. This is my opportunity to prove what kind of player I am. And they were competitive because that was the only platform they had for everybody to look at them. Well, I don't want that to come back. I'm glad we can see games all the time. Yeah. I'm glad I know.
Or was there a way?
I'm glad I know players for the Utah Jazz and the Sacramento Kings and Orlando Magic, like non-LA, Boston, New York markets. So look, they just go kick it, okay? It's a party. It's a week-long party. It's a weekend party.
You can't throw a party. Thank you. That's perfect. You can't throw a party and then at the end of it say, okay, y'all, go to work. It's like, no, the whole weekend is vacation. It's a party. So asking them to actually work at the end, that's not how they're wired to do it. Like there's too much socializing. We've already talked about, for years we've talked about how the game has evolved. I guess, chalk it up to player empowerment, whatever you want to chalk it up to. More and more players work out together. More and more players are friends. More and more players team up. People switch conferences. I mean, Damian Lillard won MVP for the Eastern Conference last night. Like, player movement is much more of a regular thing than it was back in the day. So the natural rivalries that carried over into the All-Star game don't exist. But we've long since covered that. I think what you saw last night, more so than I can remember, and it's not a new thing, but maybe I'm just late to recognize it, is what's killed the All-Star game, honestly, is three-point shooting. And I'm not blaming Steph. I'm not saying like I missed the days where there was no three-point shot, but it's that everybody can do it. Everybody can shoot threes and shoot them from distance and shoot them effortlessly. The three-point shot, even the context.
Not from half court like him, though.
Well, not quite, but Steph can. I'm sure a lot of them can. But Dame takes it to another level from most guys. What was I saying? Oh, even the contest itself, and I'll get to the contest, and more specifically, I know they didn't call it the Battle of the Sexes, but the NBA's version of Battle of the Sexes in a second. But even the contest itself is somewhat antiquated because it's not a novelty anymore. You're not special if you can shoot threes well. Everybody can shoot threes well. Maybe not as well as Steph or Damian Lillard, who's won it back-to-back now, but everybody can do it. It's not it doesn't make you unique. Whereas back in the day, it's like, oh man, the three-point shooting contest, that was the best three-point shooters in the league. Not necessarily. And it mattered when Larry Bird talking about who's finishing second. Like,
who's finishing second?
Random dudes finish second now. Like, it's not a thing anymore. And so in the All-Star game, you're going to get the 211 points when they're taking 150 three-pointers. It's like that's all they're doing is shooting threes. It's hard to defend. It adds up quickly. That's what the game is. That's why dudes are scoring 70 points like it's nothing in regular season games. There's already a conversation, some would say an issue or a problem, about the explosion of offense in regular season games. Why would that not manifest itself in an all-star game with no defense at all? This is just where the game is, and I don't think there's any turning back the clock. I don't think there's any solution to fixing it, although I am interested in your proposed solution, which is to shorten it.
Shorten it.
Take it away.
Shorten it. So look, Mike, maybe there's no going back, and you won't get
stylistically. Stylistically, that's what I mean. Stylistically,
the all-out competitiveness that you're looking for. But if you turn this, if the game is already not a normal game, well, go ahead and play around with it. Test some things out in there. So instead of making it, our normal games are 48 minutes, make it 30. Go 2 halves, 36, whatever it is. You're still gonna have the fun in there. You're still gonna have the 3-point shooting. You're still gonna have people who are just kind of messing around. But after 36 minutes, in those final 6, it's probably going to be, somebody's going to be within 10 to 12 points. Like, the more time you have, the more opportunities you're going to have for 211 to 186. You ain't getting 211 at 36 minutes. That just ain't happening. Yeah. You can bomb all day long. You can have 3 points. Everybody can take 3-pointers. Say, hey, nobody go to the hoop, take 3 pointers.
You got a lower final score. It's not as eye popping, but does it really matter? Because it's gonna be the same game, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it'll be the same game, because if you know that there's a limited amount of time, you've already got a shelf life. You're on a different kind of clock. Literally, you're on a different clock than you are in a regular season game. All right, you might be able to push it you might go all out for real in minutes, 29 to 36, because most of these guys are playing like at 48 minutes. They're used to that. 30 minutes? Some dudes be like, man, I ain't even sweating yet. Hey, your head's throbbing and I ain't said bleep yet. I ain't said nothing. So I think you can shorten the All-Star game and get a more competitive product. I do.
Maybe depends on the rotation and that sort of thing, and who's playing how many minutes.
But even if you don't, even if it's not more competitive,
if you don't shorten it, okay.
Oh, no, I'm saying, but even if it's not more competitive, why are we doing this?
Why are we fixing something that necessarily ain't broke?
Why are we pretending like it's a real game?
Well, right. It's not that, because it's not that serious. It's actually not that serious. Because you know who it's not that serious to? The players. I loved your point about Richfield Coliseum. And back in the day, how it was an opportunity for guys to, it was their moment where they arrived. It was their moment where they were like, hey, I'm an all-star. And it matters to people now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying for the first-timers or the young guys, it doesn't matter when they finally make the all-star game. The all-star status doesn't even mean what it once did, for a variety of reasons. Like, saying somebody's an all-star doesn't carry the same weight as it does. Some of it, I would start but not end with rings culture. I would start but not end with the fact that the end-all be-all is, were you a champion or did you drive the bus? And so that, more than just being a good player, just being a good player, good enough to be an all-star, to me doesn't just carry the same weight as it once did. Especially as guys do it multiple times, it just gets taken for granted by the basketball community. It feels like. Again, I'm spitballing here.
I don't know.
But it feels like it's taken for granted by the basketball community, and therefore by a lot of the players themselves. They're taking their cues from the culture, if you will, basketball culture.
Well, I would say, for example, LeBron. I'm sure we'll talk about him. LeBron is 20th All-Star game. Dame Lillard, your MVP.
His first MVP, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
How you gonna boo him?
Giannis,
Can't boo him. How you gonna boo him? Sidebar. Don't boo him. Don't boo him. I mean, okay. Could Haliburton have won it? Sure. But don't
he should have.
Boo the guy.
Come on. Where's your sense
but
of...
it's not, it's not a boom-worthy...
Where's the sense of drama? Where's the sense of...
It's not a boom-worthy offense.
It's not booing. You shouldn't be booing. But it's just good business.
It's an all-star game. Now we're taking it seriously?
You got the guy from the hometown team. It's in Indiana. He makes 8 of his first 10 threes. He's balling out.
Yeah, it would have been a great
the right
story.
way. Come on, give the MVP to Haliburton. It's so stupid. It
would have been a great story. It would have been a great story. But you know what we'd be talking about today?
It is a great story.
If Haliburton had been MVP, we'd be talking about, damn, they scored 211 points. And Adam Silver seemed disappointed. I mean, okay, who cares? It's not that serious. The headline, NBA All-Star Weekend. It's not that serious. That's where I'm at with this.
He should have been an MVP. But I would say that.
It would have been nice.
But I would say
MVP, yes.
For those guys who are out there and they've been MVPs multiple times, and we know who they are, maybe it's not a big deal. And some guys want to be there for the weekend, not for the game, but it's just an honor to be. Hey, I want to be there. I want to be there. I want to be among the best. I got FOMO. So what's going on?
It matters contractually. Let's not forget that. It matters, like in terms of just this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on being an all-star, especially for the young guys. I'm simply saying I don't know that it's the end-all, be-all that it once was. It matters from a contractual standpoint. It matters from a reputation standpoint, saying you're forever known as NBA All-Star such and such, right? Absolutely. But I think the game is not the showcase event. I'm really picking it back off of your point earlier. It's not this showcase event where your names and reputations are made. Hell, their sneakers are important, or as important as anything at All-Star Weekend now. Now I do sound like an old man. Some real nice sneakers get dropped All-Star Weekend. But no, it's like, it just doesn't define, maybe that's the word I was searching for. It doesn't define them the way that it seemed to once define a player to be named an All-Star. Like, LeBron's old man humor about, it was me and Wilt Chamberlain and Bob Cousy, like that old man joke that they called him mic'd up, saying on the bench.
Yeah.
That was, to me, that was representative of, to your point, a LeBron's mindset. I'm not saying it's just LeBron, but LeBron is old enough and wise enough to look back and be like, oh man, when I first started, it was, it was with Grant Hill, it was with Allen Iverson, and like he can look back and say, oh, I played with some of the greats. I don't know that there's as much value placed on the experience as there once was, which is why guys don't take it as seriously, or part of the reason they don't take it.
Can you workshop this with me? I think I may have something here. I have something. I'm not sure if it will work, but I'm just going somewhere.
I thought we weren't going for solutions. Okay, we're going for
no. One more though, because look, I enjoy it. I actually enjoy it. I'm not disappointed by it because I know what it is.
I don't think you're alone. I don't think you're alone.
It's fine. Look, I know it's a slow period. And we miss NBA games, and the NFL is over, and baseball hasn't started, and you're just like, oh man, I don't know who your favorite hockey team is. Maybe you're tired of your hockey team right now. I don't know. In Boston, they're slumping. The Bruins are slumping a little bit, but I'm getting off track. With the All-Star game, we have some opportunities to scrutinize and think about what could be. How about this? NBA All-Star game. You're named an all-star. That's one. Part two is asking people who really wants to play. Do you really want to play? Do you want to play in the game, or do you want to be there for the weekend? You're an all-star. You have the choice. You're going to be there regardless. We'll take care of it. You can have your seat. You can sit courtside for the dunk contest, three-point contest.
But can you still have fans? But can you still have fans voting people in that don't want to play, or that don't play?
Well, maybe, because that's part one. Part two is you find guys who want to play, and they may not even be all-stars. So it's all-star weekend, but it's an all-star game showcase, but they're not necessarily all-stars. Does that work?
Go on. Go on.
If you have, and so instead of picking like the captains of the general managers of the team, well, they didn't do it this year, but last year, where you pick, hey, this guy, I'm going to take that guy. Now the all-star general managers, the captains of each team, they pick guys who, throughout the league, the whole league is available to you. Hey, be a part of my all-star experience. You are my plus 13, plus 14s. I got a team of 14 all-stars, some all-stars, and some guys who are just rookies. I like the way they ball. Eastern Conference, Western Conference. I'm picking my 14. You pick your 14. We're going to meet in Indianapolis, and we're going to play a game with a mix of all-stars and guys who are just grinders. Would that work?
So I got a thought separate from this. So this is not me shitting on that thought.
All right, go ahead.
I'm not one of these people that be like,
if you want workshop.
I don't know that the format matters. I think it's the lack of stakes. I don't think it's the format. I don't think it matters whether it's East West, whether it's pick up, whether remember it's like, oh, the person Remember this? I'm old enough to remember the person who gets picked last, he gonna really be mad. It's like, oh, it's gonna really be competitive because people gonna get picked and their egos gonna be. It's short, absent stakes, short of putting something significant on the line. Shout out to Bud Selig. Short of putting something significant on the line, I don't think the format is going to make guys play harder. I mean, what's interesting
format, though, but it's like the content, but it's the players. It's players. So, in other words,
put some hungry dogs out there. You want to put some hungry dogs out there. Let them eat.
The eighth guy from the Knicks. The eighth guy from the Knicks is the ninth guy from the Pacers, the hometown Pacers, is in the All-Star game, even though he's not technically an All-Star. He's in there along with you have great players and you have some, just good players out there who want to play. I like the platform.
So you're right.
I don't want to do it.
So you're trying to recreate a little bit of a, Jimmy Butler, like I'll win with the backups type situation, like one of those.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, what's got to be frustrating? Another sidebar. Another thought just occurred to me. You know what's got to be frustrating? It's got to be frustrating for the NBA to see what a rousing success the play-in tournament was. This manufactured play-in tournament that they managed to get guys to take seriously. But the prestigious All-Star game, the 73rd All-Star game, it's like, I don't know. It's fascinating. Because, there's a way to get them to take it seriously. What?
I got another one.
All right. We can do this all day.
Maybe you can't play in the All-Star game every year.
You can't play?
You're named an All-Star. You don't play. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are named an All-Star, but there's a rule. Like, you can't play in 3 in a row.
Can't get bored.
Yeah, you can't play. Just like they do with coaches. Hey, you coached the All-Star team last year. You're not going to coach it again this year. Whoever's next in line. So, 2 or 3 All-Star games in a row. You have an All-Star
So that's
rotation.
the second time you're eliminating the fans. So it's like the fans are complaining, or some fans are complaining about the quality.
I love the fans.
But that's not what they want to see. You can't say, hey man, sorry, no Steph this year. Hey, no Giannis this year. No LeBron this year. Like, you can't. Even if you allow them to be named All-Stars, they want to see them. They want to see them.
Now, this is what I want to know. This is what, we were having our conversation. This is what I want to know from the fans. So let's keep it 100 with each other.
Like, what do you want?
Are you among those complaining about the All-Star game, even though you got what you wanted? So you got a chance to see Steph and Giannis and LeBron and Jason Tatum and Dame Lillard and Haliburton and everybody else. Are you complaining about it? Because if you are complaining about it, it's not competitive, then I am going to take it out of your hands. You got what you wanted, and you're still not happy. So I'm going to try to make you happier. I'm going to take away something
People don't know what they want. People don't know what they want until you show it to them.
Replacing it with something more competitive.
Okay. So I got one. I'll play your game here. Except this isn't necessarily a replacement for the All-Star game itself. But I think the one thing that unequivocally seemed to be a success was Sabrina versus Steph. That seemed to, everybody seemed to enjoy that. Is that fair? Not everybody. Obviously not everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm not worried about the people that's going to complain, going back to that, just to complain, going to find a problem with everything. But it seemed to be the most positively received event of the weekend, right?
Yep.
Not only would I like to see more of that, more Steph versus Sabrina, more Dame versus Caitlin, we already have WNBA participation. Like, let's take it to a whole nother level. Forget about just the challenges. Forget about, the Steph versus Sabrina. Like, is there a way to get a game going where
here we go.
The NBA and the WNBA playing a game together, like an actual game? Maybe, again, not replacing the All-Star game itself, the NBA All-Star game itself, no more than I would replace the WNBA All-Star game. I'm saying, let's get Asia off courtside and get her on the court. and let's get them hooping. Let's get them playing a glorified pickup game, which is the All-Star game. That's all it is anyway. Let's get them playing a glorified pickup game where the WNBA's brightest stars and some of the NBA's brightest stars get together and play for, I don't know, something. You know what I mean? But there seemed to be, even though it's like, I wasn't shocked that Sabrina Ionescu is a great shooter and can hold her own in a contest, a three-point shooting contest with Steph Curry. That didn't shock me. Like I didn't know we were still doing the Billie Jean King thing. You know what I'm saying? Like the idea of a woman competing with a man, I thought we'd already graduated past that. But that seemed to, captivate a lot of people's imaginations. It was good for the game, make no mistake about it. Good for the women's game, make no mistake about it. So let's see more of it. Let's not only just see that showdown grow, but let's see the men and the women playing together in a, like I said, a glorified pickup game. Maybe it's Friday night, maybe it's Saturday night, maybe it's some of the people that you're talking about who aren't the all-stars, the LeBrons. Maybe it's not LeBron, maybe it's not Giannis, maybe it's not Steph, maybe it's the second-tier all-stars, maybe it's the fringe all-stars, maybe it's guys who haven't played in the game. But it would just be nice to see, a mix. More of this. Give me more of that.
No, I'm
here for it.
Michael, I think that's a great idea. I'd love to see that. And you said you didn't know we were still doing the, some people are
the battle of the sexes.
Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. The difference is we're not quite doing that because Bobby Riggs, the whole thing started because Riggs was like, he was washed up himself. He was old.
Right.
He was like, hey, ain't no woman gonna beat me. Like, well, you kidding me? Billie Jean King's gonna kick your ass. Go sit down somewhere.
Sabrina will outshoot most dudes. I thought we knew that.
And so she did. But he was dismissive. And so his problem was he was just dismissive. He was sexist.
Whereas Steph was like, yes, this is. Steph was embracing it. Steph, yes.
Steph has, the entire time has been a supporter of women's college basketball and the WNBA and Sabrina and just talking about women's basketball. So he is not that guy that, Bobby Riggs is just in a different place. So, yes, we're not doing that anymore. But I will say, if she had won, it'd be a different headline. Like now we're saying it's great.
What would the headline be if she had won?
If she had won, it's a huge achievement. She took down Steph Curry. Now some people would say, "Oh, he wasn't trying. He let her win." Some people would say that. But I think most people who watched it would understand like it's a significant achievement because I'm going to tell you this. She was at a disadvantage. It had nothing to do with her gender. She's at a disadvantage because she's got to shoot at that line. Not that she can't, but that's her normal. She would have been an advantage if Steph had shot closer. She would have been an advantage because that's just normally what she does. So she had to do something outside of her normal routine.
And still put up 26.
So I don't know, man. I think it's. I think we still need to see things like this. We've made progress.
Cool. So you know what I'm talking about.
But it's a progressive journey. We ain't there yet. So if she had won this thing, that would have been a big deal.
And there's still, even though the women's game, both at the professional and the collegiate level, is exploding at an all-time high in terms of popularity right now, is moving the needle, is bringing in the money, like there's still room for growth. And this was one of those watershed moments potentially for the women's game, right? To have, the star of stars in the NBA shoulder to shoulder with one of the WNBA's brightest stars. Okay, then let's keep that going and let's grow it. I'm glad you like it. Again, just spitballing. Would love to see a mixed gender pickup game, just like you see at the park, just like you see in practice. Like these women didn't get this good by only playing women. Like these women have kicked their fair share of male ass over the course of their journey to the top of their profession. So it's like, why stop with just a one-off? Let's not only grow this 3-point, or maybe we completely, go WNBA versus NBA 3-point contest. Like maybe there's a way to have 3-point shooting teams or something. I don't know, but like the more of this, the better. The more of this, the better. What I'm getting at. That was a success. Dunk contest, that vacillates so much year to year. Like last, you gotta take a deep breath.
Yeah, man.
You gotta take why you taking a deep? Did it hurt you? Like, listen.
They should
that first
dunk contest
Mac's
every
first
4
dunk,
years.
But
Let's do it every 4 years.
4 years. Every 4.
Put that thing on
Every
a
4
World
years?
Cup Olympic schedule. Every 4 years. We don't need to see that.
They don't need 4 years to come up with the same variations of the same dunks. For the most part,
They might.
That first dunk from Mac, because look, man, you can only jump over so many people, Shaq included. But that first dunk from Mac, where that dude's creative. He's good for the last 2 years. He has been good for a couple of I've never seen that before dunks. Even though we think we've seen every dunk, whether it's tapping the backboard first. I've never seen somebody do what he did in midair. I've never seen that before. Last year I never saw a double clutch reverse. Last year I never saw somebody tap the backboard and then dunk it like he did last year. He's been fantastic. The problem is he should not be the star of the dunk contest. He should be a co-star. He should be a co-star of the dunk contest. Like Jaylen Brown is not, with all due respect, not a premier enough NBA All-Star to carry the show. Like, this needs Ja Morant. This needs Ja Morant. This needs Zion Williamson. This needs somebody who is not quite.
This needs to go.
You just want to get rid of it altogether? You're done with it? You're over it? You're over the dunk contest?
Dude, come on. Every 4 years. Every 4 years. It's enough. Because, man, it's just so, it's so lame. It's so lame.
It's lame now?
It's lame.
Wait, is the concept of it lame, or has it just gotten lame? Which one is, or both?
I think maybe it's both, because I'm gonna tell you, I like it in the game. I do like it, a dunk in the game, dunking over somebody, just something you don't expect, a follow-up, missed free throw, missed shot, somebody comes.
Is it like I said about the three-pointer? Like it's not a novel thing anymore? Is it similar to what I was saying about the three-pointer? Like, it's like,
I really, and I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the reactions to dunks by media, by players in the game. Oh, it ain't all that. No, it ain't all that. It's not that. No, it's just like, and first of all, it wasn't even a dunk. If you don't get it, if you throw it in forcefully, but your hand does not touch the rim, that ain't a dunk. Stop that. And a lot of people get credit for that. Like, it's dunk adjacent, where you get up there and you go, huh, and you do it over somebody. Oh, that's a dunk. Right. You ain't dunk on nobody. Right. You threw it over somebody. I mean, I've just seen it. We've seen so much creativity and force from Jordan from the free throw line, going back in the day, Dr. J in the 70s in Denver, David Thompson, Dominique Wilkins in that showdown in Chicago Stadium.
Michael,
that he got rocked. But like after
last
Vince Carter,
year, wait, tell the truth.
We've seen
last year.
Oh God.
When Mac did his thing last year, did you feel this way? Because it feels like there is this ebb and flow. You did? I don't remember if we talked about it. Maybe. Okay.
Dude, it needs some.
There's this ebb and flow. Like every 4 years, every 3 or 4 years, somebody saves the dunk contest. Am I lying? There's always this. It's like dunk contest is dead. Dunk contest is dead. Oh, Blake Griffin just jumped over Kia. Dunk contest is dead. Dunk contest is dead. It's like, oh, here comes Mac. This G leaguer. Like,
let's store up our ideas. Let's work with some choreographers. Let's work with some artists. So when we get here 4 years from now, we got a lot of great ideas from not just one guy, but maybe eight or nine of them. As
Michael,
the poet Doja Cat.
You want the dunk?
Hey, can I quote Doja Cat?
By all means.
You need a revamp. You need a revamp with a new vibe, sis. I mean, like, come on, we got to do this whole thing over, please.
So you want the dunk contest? You want the dunk contest to be like a Sade album? Come on, like every blue moon, like just a rarity. Like,
and
like Andre 3000 sighting,
What are they going to do?
You want them in the lab longer, okay, Doja Cat? You want them in the lab?
Please.
You want them in the lab longer? I want the participants. I want the participants. Again, I'm not sure when it became cool to not be part of the dunk contest when some of the greatest players ever. I don't want, I hate when people be like, oh, the first person ever do this. It's like, well, no, it happened before. But it felt like LeBron not doing it kind of made it okay for all of his contemporaries and his successors to not do it. And from a superstar standpoint, it's like, dude, everybody who's anybody did the dunk contest. If Dr. J and Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins did the dunk contest, which again, back then a dunk meant something different than it does now.
Right, exactly.
So I hear you on that.
It's the same conversation you had earlier.
But why is it beneath some of these dudes about a three-pointer? Yeah, for sure. No, so you feel about
the same thing.
Yeah, but I didn't say let's abolish the three-pointer. Did I? Did I say that?
No, you didn't say abolish, but you said the novelty contest.
The novelty
was gone. All right, so like with a lot of great dunkers, like pre-2004, okay?
Like what did we think about the dunk contest pre-Vince Carter? I almost feel like that was another moment where it was like, oh, the dunk contest is dead. And then Vince Carter come along.
I understand it.
A hero always comes. And then a hero comes along, Michael. And somebody always comes along and rescues the dunk contest.
But here's the problem. It's you said it. You said it perfectly about everything. Everything you just said is not BS. Everything you just said about the about the 3-point contest applies to the dunk contest. You have people. The beauty of Julius Erving. The beauty of him, back in the day, was that you ain't see a lot of people doing what Doc did. You ain't see a lot of people doing that. So under the basket, on the break, just kind of punching on somebody. Poor Michael Cooper. That's what's still a great scene there where Cooper is just like seems to be falling, and Doc is rising, and then he gets him. Lakers won that finals though. Anyway. So Cooper won the war. But you didn't see a lot of people doing that in the 80s. And then in the 90s, there are a lot of dunkers. And 2000s, everybody can do it. High school, you see high school kids doing creative dunks. So it's not the element of surprise or the element of, originality. I haven't seen that before. It's more and more rare. So
yeah. There's the traditionalist. The traditionalist in me does not want to eliminate the dunk contest or the 3-point contest. So by reimagine, you mean remove?
Well,
for 3 years at a time.
I'm saying every 4 years. Every 4 years.
Okay.
Hey, everybody gets how about this? Everybody gets a great dunker as a choreographer. So hey, this group is going to work with Dominique Wilkins. You're going to work with Michael Jordan. It's like Dancing with the Stars. They get to talk to these great dancers, and they go out there and see if they can do it. You get to work with Dr. J. You work with Vince Carter. All these people who have been imaginative. You work with Blake Griffin. And then let's come back, and we're going to limit it. It's going to be a small group. I don't want everybody and their mama in a dunk contest. It's a small group. You're a privilege. You're going to handpick you.
It's already a small group. They have a tough time filling out that small group half the time.
I wanted to be smaller.
Like 2 people?
Yeah. You know what?
One person,
I'm not one
invitational? It don't sound like
think about it.
I don't know that what you're describing is much different than what it is. Because there are better dunkers, with all due respect to my man Mac. I like Mac, but there are better dunkers courtside reacting like you just did than there are in the competition. You ever seen one of these college or high school dunk contests? Man, these things, like the idea of a dunk contest to me can still be fun. Just like, look, the 3-point contest, it's still interesting. It's just not, again, it's not novel. It doesn't mean what it once did to be the 3-point shooting champion, given the participants. To me, across the board, I think the theme that we've hit on here is one of participation. Like it's the who more so, this is me workshopping here, it's the who more so than the how. In other words, like you're advocating for different types of people, different caliber players to be front and center in the All-Star game. I'm advocating for more of Sabrina, more of Asia, more of the WNBA's current and future Caitlin Clark superstars being more of a participant than they already are in NBA All-Star Weekend. And in the case of the dunk contest and the three-point contest, we're talking about them having fallen off from their lofty perches, from what I'm gathering, because of who's in it. Because you're not going to tell me that Max dunks aren't exceptional. It's just because he's a G Leaguer. And it's like, okay, that was a great story last year. We didn't want to see it 2 years in a row. Like, Jaylen Brown can't be the highest profile name in a dunk contest, you know, in a modern dunk contest.
And
so I think it's the participants. So I think and listen, in a three-point contest, don't get me wrong. Yeah. There are great players that participate in the three-point contest still, obviously. There are great players that still do that. The dunk contest just kind of feels like nobody really wants to do it. I'm not sure where that came from. I'm not sure where and that's why I say maybe it's LeBron, maybe it's something else, but it's almost like people feel like they have more to lose than to gain by participating in the dunk contest, and I'm not sure where they get that idea from.
All right, let me ask you this, seriously. All right, watching an NBA game, and a guy gets a breakaway. Do you sit on the edge of your seat and say, oh, what's he going to do now? Like, a breakaway.
In a game?
Breakaway dunk. In a game.
In a game, no. Especially,
is there anybody
especially depending on when it is in the game. Because if it's at a key point in the game, they're not going to do nothing crazy and blow the dunk. You know what I mean? Like, so ja, in a game, no.
Do you have it in your mind that somebody, if I ask you this now, who's the best dunker in the NBA? Is it Ja? Do you have an answer? Like, who's the best dunker in the NBA?
I think the person who I enjoy seeing dunk the most would probably be Ja. Yeah, I would probably like to enjoy seeing Ja, which is why he's such a natural for the dunk contest. Yes.
I just, the game is just, we may have to come up with a different contest to kind of reflect what the game is today. The game is just so wide open. We've seen it. We see it in the game. Like, if somebody dunks in the game, like, okay, that's great. Like LeBron with his breakaways, he's rocking the baby and all that. Okay, that's nice. Thank you. Okay, now what? I don't know.
Just now you do sound old. Now you definitely sound old. You just want to go away with the whole thing.
It's fine.
So everybody just go home.
It's fine, man. It's fine. It's fine. Like, just a dunk. It's just a dunk. It's not even that, everybody can do it now.
Hey, you mentioned the party. There's the party. There's the party aspect of the All-Star weekend. There is the convention. That is, it's an NBA convention. There's the availability. There's always people making news. So LeBron spoke on Sunday because he wasn't there Saturday, but he spoke on Sunday before the game, and he just talked about the reality, which was an interesting reality when I think about it. Like, it's hard for me to imagine, but we've obviously been here before. We've been here with Kobe. We've been here with Jordan. We've been here with Kareem. Everything has a beginning, has an end, Neil. And so, like, there is going to be an NBA without LeBron James, as hard as it is to imagine. LeBron sees the end. He's closer to the end than he is to the beginning. And he spoke openly about what the end might look like.
I was asked this question a couple of days ago. Will you kind of take the farewell tour, or will you kind of just Tim Duncan it? I'm 50-50. I'm going to be honest, because there's times where I feel like I guess I owe it to my fans that's been along this journey with me for 2 decades plus to be able to give them that moment, where it's every city and whatever the case may be, and, they give you your flowers or whatever the case may be, and that seems cool. But the other side of, I've never been that great with accepting praise. It's a weird feeling for me. I never really talked about it much, but it's just a weird feeling for me. So to go in each city, if that's the case. I don't know. I've seen Mike's, I've seen Kobe's, I've seen a lot of guys. I just don't know how I feel. I don't know if I will feel great about it. Maybe the only child in me, maybe, but I don't know. But I am a Laker, and I am happy and been very happy being a Laker the last 6 years, and hopefully it stays that way.
Okay, let's go ahead and, if you will, let's table the Laker talk. We can do that another day. There's plenty of time to talk about LeBron's next team. Yep. Okay, whether it's the Lakers or somebody else, we'll table that. We'll just focus on
next team. Yeah.
Okay, well there you go. End of conversation. I want to focus in on the farewell tour remarks and the not good at accepting praise remarks. Typically, I find that those who say they don't like attention are the biggest attention whores. Without fail, people that are like, oh, I can't stand attention. I don't like being the center of attention.
Oh.
It's like,
I don't want to be the focus. Don't make me the focus.
It's not about me.
I'm not comfortable with this.
Right. It's like, really?
Come on, LeBron. Stop that.
Really? Like, I've never been good at receiving praise. Like,
you haven't?
I mean, the king courts praise.
I didn't know that.
I mean, look, it's not a criticism. Like, I love LeBron as much as the next man. And I didn't even try to call my man a liar, but I am like a little, really?
That's surprising to me. That's a surprising comment.
Yeah. Like, really?
Can we say that?
Like, you would be uncomfortable being the center of attention, receiving your flowers. Okay. You say so. Having said that.
At the end of your career.
Right. I don't think he's 50-50 on it. I don't think there's any way. Like Tim Duncan'd it because he's Tim Duncan. LeBron has never conducted himself like Tim Duncan. So he's not going to Tim Duncan it. You are not going to deprive, you are LeBron James, okay? You are not going to deprive yourself of something Dwayne Wade got, something Kobe Bryant, of course, got, something all the greats have gotten.
It's going to be bigger than that. It's going to be bigger than it all. You want to talk about parties?
Film. It's going to be a Taylor Swift, Beyonce film. They're going to make a film about his last. What are you talking about?
They're already in it.
I mean,
it's going to be
come on.
It's like one of those movies like, oh, they're in here. It's gonna like we saw Usher's halftime show. We're gonna put Usher to shame with all the cameos he had. Okay, yeah, and all of them gonna be in it too. It's gonna be Jay, Beyonce,
Usher, is gonna be a
Jermaine Dupri gonna be up in there.
Uninterrupted
Luda
production in theaters only. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like this is
sponsored.
I don't.
Co-sponsored by Nike and Spring Hill. Boy, stop! Stop it!
I mean, a farewell tour to end all farewell tours. I mean,
come on.
I don't know any superstar who has been more in touch with what is said about him or what isn't said about him than LeBron James. The idea of I don't know.
That's the funniest thing. That's the funniest thing you said in a long time.
I don't know if I want a farewell tour. All-time lead scorer, you just go Tim Duncan it? Like you spent your whole career. You spent your whole career as the center of attention. Welcoming
it. LeBron. Where's LeBron? Anybody see LeBron?
And he has wielded that power. He's wielded that power, that influence over his organizations, over the league, over the sport, over the culture. He has wielded that power and influence masterfully. And all jokes aside, he deserves a farewell tour. If anybody deserves a farewell tour, it's LeBron James. Like there's no way. But not only will he not want to be deprived of a farewell tour, regardless of what he said, like we should be able to give him a farewell tour. That's as much about us and as fans and as a basketball community as it is about the person we're saying goodbye to. You know?
Well, I will tell you this, and all the things you said are true. But let's just push this forward. He answered the question. Whether we agree with everything he said or not, he answered the question. He answered the question thoughtfully. He has this has been on his mind. So I would not be surprised if all of this happens in the 2024-25 season, meaning next year, last year. That's a lot to be talking about. Like, if that's not on your mind, you say, hey, I'm looking forward to the second half of the season, which he did say. He did say that. That was part of it. I'm looking forward to the second half of the season. We got some momentum going here. I take it year by year. I don't know. I'm enjoying playing basketball. I got a lot to give this game. No. I think we got a little window into what he's thinking. I would not be shocked if next year is LeBron James's last year playing in the NBA. Because you don't give that much thought to it unless you've given that much thought to it and you're close to making a decision. And look, he even talked about it. He was open about a lot of things. Open about his ankle and how, hey, he can be out there with these guys, but he's not gonna play that much. And he didn't play that much in the All-Star game, and he didn't play in the game before. The last game before the All-Star game against Utah, didn't play in that game. And LeBron has reached a point in his career. This year he's going to be 40 in December. So, look, man, you're playing like he does, and you're dependent on like he is at 40. We've never seen it before in the history of basketball. Someone that age who is relied on so much to deliver for his team has not happened. And so the reason it hasn't happened is just it can't. Physically, you will break down, which is what is happening to him. I think last year is it for him.
So next year. So let me.
Next year. I think next year is it for him.
Yep. So let me stop calling Cap for a second and actually examine this from, the other side or his perspective. Because there is a way that he could Tim Duncan it, as he said. Just walk away without any kind of fanfare. And it would make sense despite the person that we think we've come to know over the last 20 odd years. And you just hit on it. You just hit on it. Is if there's one trump card he could have over everybody. And if he could walk away from this game saying he never declined. Like one way to beat Father Time is to call it. Is to get out the ring. Like the reason Father Time is undefeated is undefeated is because people stay in the ring with him. And people keep trying to fight time. If he just decides I'm done and I'm going to leave at the peak of my powers, even in my 40s, as opposed to letting my game decline ever so slightly. Like, he'd be the only player to ever have his entire career was his prime. If he decided just to walk. As opposed to, because usually the farewell tours, the guy, it's obvious to everybody that he has to retire. His game has slipped. He may have flashes here and there, but he's no longer this focal point, this elite player, this top, 5, 10, whatever player that LeBron still is. So if LeBron, blew off his farewell tour, it could be because he decides to walk when we or he least expects it. In other words, like, let's say next year is his last year, not because he intends for it to be his last year, it's because after next year, and let's say he's able to play with Bronny or whatever, after next year, he's just like, I've done all I want to do in this game, and I don't need to come back and put my body through everything it takes to maintain the standard of excellence that I've had over 2 decades. Like, it looks like he can just roll out of bed and do this. But the amount of work that he has to put into maintaining his body in the off season and during the season, and the wear and tear that he must still feel even as a 40-year-old, he may just decide he doesn't want to do that anymore. So it's less about, hey, do I want people to know, hopefully I'm making sense here. Do I want people to know that I'm retiring and I want to be showered with flowers? And it's more about, oh, I don't know if I'm going to retire this year or next year. Like, he may just decide to surprise himself and us and say, you know what? I want to go into entertainment full time. You know, I want to go into philanthropy full time. I want to go home and be a family man. I don't want to do what it takes. Not that I don't love the game, not that I don't love competing. I don't want to do what it takes to be LeBron James anymore.
Yeah, and all that's established.
I don't want anybody to remember me for anything other than the king. You know, like the guy.
Here's the other thing. Here's the very human part. So we're talking about the part that we can't relate to. Well, you can't relate to, you know, being the best player of all time, but I can. No, we talked about a part that we can't relate to, the basketball part. But here's the part we can, and everybody else listening to us and watching us can. When you turn 30, you kind of reassess, and you think, okay, what do I want to do now? What does this mean? For some people, it doesn't mean anything. I'll just keep going. But for others, it's like a point. It's a point of reflection. It's a point, you know, I'm going to be pensive here. I'm going to think about what 30 means to me. And what did I just say? In December, he's going to turn 40. This might be the time. And it's not about, being elite and what I want to put my body through. It's just, hey, I'm 40 years old. And I've played basketball since I was a teenager. And I'm a billionaire, and I've got businesses and partnerships and interest. And here's my wife who's been here the entire time. And I would like to just live without being dependent on an NBA schedule. So I'm 40 years old, and now it's time to go. That might be it.
Yeah.
It might be. That's why I think it's coming. It's coming. I would... not to turn this into my bets, but I wouldn't be shocked at all. I wouldn't be shocked at all if 2024-25, there it is, LeBron James lets it go. And he'll still be a top 10 player. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a player his age be in the top 10, ever. So he retires.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, not in the NBA I'm talking about.
No, I got
retires,
it. Yes, no, for sure.
And he walks away, and he's got he really has done everything. You know, all the things you talked about: competitiveness and love of the game, and championships, and making situations and franchises and communities better. All of that, he's done it all. Nothing else to prove. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.